Hey, now, Vinny, I got this next segment where I pre-prepared some
Ooh, sweet.
surgically choice questions just for you. I think you're
I
gonna love
love
this
it.
one. Yeah, this is called Heart's First Whisper. So you can imagine you don't use your brain or your thoughts here. It's your
No.
heart that
Yeah.
responds. Cool. First question. When you say our souls weren't made to consume, but to create, what does that look like in your everyday life now?
I wish I could say I'm the best at it, but I'm very human. I do create quite a lot with what I do. My goal is to create far more than I consume eventually. And and I think that's a real possibility for all of us. And when I say create, I mean take your day and say, hey, let's create a magic moment for your 4 year old today. Then go do it. Hey, let's go create some connection time with my 15-year-old today. And then go do it. Or say, let's go make mom's job a little bit easier today. Let's do a couple of her chores for her and go do it. Like just setting out to create with our actions rather than consume, consume, consume. But what's neat is podcasts, posting positive content on socials, um, but putting positive deposits of energy into the universe. That's where we create, and it starts with our thoughts first. So if you don't think you could be doing a podcast or doing favors for anybody, at least go out there and start thinking positively first. And when you can do that, even if you're forcing yourself to do it through your imagination, then you're going to bring about this different frequency, this different broadcast for yourself, where you're broadcasting a much more positive energy, and you watch in your outside world, positive things are going to start happening.
Oh, yeah. And it sounds like just to carry that notion consciously, to remind yourself throughout the day that you want to do that is like the first step. And then from there, it feels like it's kind of random acts of kindness and maybe service to others
Mm-hmm.
effectively as it boils down. That's
Yes,
very cool.
absolutely.
All right, number two. What truth are you now living that your old self could have never imagined accepting?
So this one, my intuition guides me on this one, and that is I go back and forth between being vegetarian and vegan, and then an omnivore. So, most of us out there are omnivores. That means we eat just about everything. But for me myself, I lean towards a plant-based lifestyle and diet most of the time. I will say that when I'm on a vacation or someone is preparing food for me, I do consume the food that is prepared for me. But I'm getting to a place now where that's not going to work anymore, and I have to keep my plant-based life, and that's my choice. It's just my way of feeling a stronger connection with spirit. In Christianity, we know that in the last days of earth, the lamb will lay down with the lion. That means the lion's not going to eat the lamb. That means we're not going to either. So there's a way we can invite that higher way of being now, if we want to, even if it's one day a week in the beginning. But it's weird. You can find a very high living energy out of nature's foods, when we're talking about plants and fruits, berries, vegetables, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and it feels like as we go into a higher frequency state, we maybe will be lighter beings and we maybe even not eat food at some point. You get to such high frequency. So there might be a transition between now and then. And like transition between I can use my pineal gland and my intuition, maybe not so much now, but more then. It's this transition. So even the lion eventually will transition to such a light body that it won't eat at
Yeah.
all. That includes the lamb. So it could be people are in different sort of stages on that transition, I would guess.
Well, what's neat is tapping into some of these old diets that the ancient peoples on Earth used to have. They would eat once or twice a week, and not even every day. It wasn't until the modern consumerism era that we even decided to eat more than once a day. Prior to that, most people were eating maybe once a day, maybe even less. That's why in many of the old Christian faiths, there's all these feast days, because those were the days you would eat. And all the days in between, even sometimes for 3 weeks, you wouldn't eat. You of course would do soups, porridges, and water, but you weren't eating feasts. And, we've come to this modern era of abundance where every meal is a feast. And it's not required. We don't need that. And in fact, most ancient sacred buildings don't have bathrooms. Think about that. Think about that. Some of the oldest cathedrals, some of the oldest holy sites that you can find on earth, they don't have bathrooms. Makes you think. And if you're not eating that often, you get to choose when you go.
Yeah. And also, I think you give your body a break, and it can do repair work inside while it's not busy processing and digesting food. Food is just way too convenient. You just go to the junk food store, fast food store, grocery store, and it's just everywhere. The convenience store, there's never a moment where there isn't food around you, where that wasn't the case before. And I don't know if you've ever heard of OMAD, one meal a day, but, it's pretty easy to do that if you give that a try and you eat sort of the right foods for you. And you kind of do that intermittent fasting for the other 18 hours. It's kind of interesting. I've tried that before, and I oftentimes just fall into that because I'm kind of busy. And you find that's maybe all you need,
Yeah.
Well, number 3, you said authenticity is the highest frequency we can live in. And what does being fully authentic mean to you now?
What I do is everywhere I go, as I present myself, I present to large groups all the time. I work with small groups. I also, fly all over the country and work with teachers and doctors. And I work in the healing field of helping others learn about healing. And as I do that, I'm always asking myself, am I showing up as me, or am I showing up as what I think they want to meet with me? And if I ever get a yes to the second, to the latter, I know that I have some authenticity work to do. And what's neat is the longer you do this, the more you ask yourself this, the more authentic you can be.
Nice. And then you can feel that, and it's consistent, I guess, across all experiences.
Yes, absolutely consistent. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Number 4, you spoke of pain, loss, and emotional burdens. What has suffering taught you that joy never could?
Well, number 1, a neat correlation that I picked up over the years is I'm part of a convention of a bunch of near-death experiences and after-death experiencers. And going there, every time I hear a very high detail experience, the first time this happened, Spirit prompted me, hey, go up and ask them if they were abused as a kid. So I went up. I was already friends with this one. So I said, were you abused as a kid? How did you know? So it started there. And it got to a point where I realized that most of these very high detail experiences were happening for abused kids grown up into adults. And one of the reasons that is when you're raised in abuse, you have this hyper awareness. And clinically, it's classified as an HSP, a hypersensitive person, or this extrasensory person that what's going on around you, even as you don't consciously know it, you subconsciously know it. And to me, that's one of the blessings of the abuse, the loss, the trauma that I was raised in, is it gave me this gift of a highly detailed experience so that I could share it with the world and share it with those who need it primarily. But on top of that, in my day-to-day work of helping people, when someone comes with a very heavy trauma on them, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid at all. And in fact, sometimes I get a little excited because I can see that we can help this person exit this trauma, let this trauma exit their life, and how much that sometimes trauma is dampening our light and our life force. We don't have to. So to me, that's what the burden is to be raised in the way I was raised, so that I could have the experience and also have the gifts to help others who have carried the same burden.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You had the experience, had the lesson, and gained the wisdom. There are others that may be in the experience right now where you can help them with what the lesson is and ultimately what the wisdom is to take away from that experience.
Absolutely. And, there's a tremendous tool I've been using for a couple of years now. Spirit taught it to me. Anytime you have physical pain or emotional pain, imagine, close your eyes, open up your nation of magi's, open up your imagination, close your eyes, and visualize light, physical light, penetrating the space you feel yourself storing these emotions. If it's physiology in your back or your legs, your knees, whatever, but visualize light shining through that space, and then say 3 magical statements. The first one is, I'm okay. The second one, I am loved. And the third one, I am safe. And this is so powerful. I've watched someone, even in an ICU, in a hospital, someone with a broken femur, bent over in a 90-degree angle, do this for himself and turn the pain off before he was even checked into the hospital. I mean, this is very real. It works with our physiology. It works with our emotionalness, the energy of our emotions. So it can help with emotional pain and physical pain both. But it's an understanding that when we live at this higher frequency of being, we get to be in more control of our bodies and our environments.
So manifesting the things around you as well as manifesting the reduction or elimination of pain receptor.
Yes. And sometimes it works on fear too. If we're having a fear or a phobia, it works on anxiety. It's like the body needs to hear those 3 things once in a while. The body itself, because we are not our bodies. We are the soul that is journeying in these bodies. But the body needs to hear, I'm okay, I'm loved, I'm safe. And it's amazing. Watch the comments come in on that one. That is powerful. It is so powerful.
I hope to see some comments, people that have tried it, used it, and it works. It kind of feels like the vehicle. Your body is the vehicle. So if you're in the car and the horn is stuck on, kind of tell you that there's a problem, pain maybe, you can disengage, disconnect the horn, stop the pain, and still focus on taking care of yourself and mending that is broken, but without being overcome with the horn blasting in your ear the whole time.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, that takes us to number 5 here, which is, if you could only share one of the 10 principles from your experience, which one does humanity need most today?
Love everyone. Love everyone. Because we are all one. I don't care political affiliation. I don't care resident, immigrant. I don't care country of origin. Love everyone. And in the words of one of my guides, love the crap out of everyone. like just love them for who they are, love them for their eccentricities. The crazy thing is, in this world, the hate that we deposit in others creates the enemy of tomorrow. And if we want to get rid of tomorrow's enemy, start putting love into each other.
So I would think everybody is receiving that direction and they go, of course, how could you argue with that? Now they might say, give me a practical example so that I can know how to apply that. If I have my neighbor that's annoying and causing trouble and yelling and throwing stuff over the fence, how in the heck do I love them? Just as one example.
Well, too many times reacting prevents us from acting. So keeping ourselves out of reaction and keeping ourselves in action. That's how we do it. Because in action, it's a choice. In reaction, it's an instinct. And instinct sometimes doesn't do us the best thing, especially when it comes to irrational people or emotionally unstable people. I'll give you a perfect example. I was in Washington, D.C. I had just wrapped up a big event that we were doing there. I was walking just out of my Uber, stepped out of my Uber, and I hear, gun. And everybody in the public all ducks, and they're all hiding and ducking out of the way. And I see clearly, because the only people standing are these two gunmen and a lady that's holding onto her purse and her shopping bag. And they're trying to take it from her. But rather than run up and, hey, stop doing that, or you bad guys, rather than do that, I just calmly and confidently started walking towards them with a divine love for all of them in my eyes. And as I approached, one of the gunmen noticed me. He dropped his gun, number one. It freaked him out that I wasn't hiding like everyone else. And he picked that gun back up and he said something to his buddy. I think he thought I was a cop. And his buddy looked at me too, and they both ran. And it was neat to watch that you don't have to come with equal force. You can come with love. Now, I don't recommend walking towards gunmen, smiling at them like this crazy guy did. But I'm telling you, there's a way that when you come into altercation in your world, find a loving way to deal with it. Everyone has their own journey and their own story. And just remember that hurt people hurt people. So if someone's hurting someone in your world, find out why they're hurting. And if you can find that and help them deal with that and solve that, then they stop hurting your friends or your loved ones.
Oh, very good. Yeah. So even if it is, the neighbor next door, like you said, hurt people. So what was it that caused that person energy to go as dark as it would to do those sorts of things? Have a feeling of respect, acknowledgement of that. I kind of feel sometimes like you can think of everybody on this earthly plane sort of walking around interacting as actors kind of in a movie.
Yeah.
They really have a soul on the other side that's pure love, but they chose to come in as a character. And that character might be a villain, okay?
Yep.
But the fact is, he's only a character of a villain, or she a villain, but on the other side, they're a perfectly loving, fabulous soul. And so think of them as that, and then you'll probably not really have negative energy toward them, possibly.
Absolutely. And in fact, inside every, definitively bad human being, there is light. It might be deep down and you've got to dive in to find it, but it's there. And it may be just a kind gesture from you that invites it out of them. A gesture that doesn't make any sense,
Yeah, where they connect back to their other side. They just get a glimmer of that and they realize there's no reason to be anything but love, and you may get that. So that's pretty cool. And that brings us to number 6, which is, what do you hope is waiting for you in your soul's backpack when you return home for good?
To me, I carry that with me now. I carry the gifts, the tools, the assets that I am picking up from life. I carry them now, and I know I'll carry them with me on the other side. The beauty is when you step through that veil, any strength you have that's like a 2 becomes a 20. I mean, you become so much more amplified without the resistance of life here, because there is a lot of resistance. To me, my greatest tool in my backpack is love. Hands down, by far, the greatest. One thing I've never been accused of is not loving enough. I've been accused many times of loving too much and never giving up on people. And I do love people. I truly can walk up to a stranger and absolutely love them, because I know that there's a piece of God in there. and I can connect to that piece and love it, and love the body that's around them, you know. But to me, the greatest gift that I get to take with me in the backpack is love.
Yeah, and when you get to the other side, that's because you've been there, and felt that. That's what it is. It's pure love, and it is so unbelievably powerful. Maybe this question isn't really what do you hope is waiting in that backpack. Maybe it's what do you want to take from this experience in this backpack to the other side, which is another way of saying that is why is it that you came here, your purpose, your lessons, what wisdom bundle is it you're bringing back that you didn't have?
Well, the funny thing is, on the other side where we came from, there's so much love for us that when we think about something, the universe starts creating it for us. Because that universe on that side is so full of love for us. So the power of creation starts with the littlest thoughts there. And I feel that one of the greatest gifts we get here is there is a delay between having the thought and having the universe help you create it. And in between there, in that gap, there's this room for effort, for action. And to me, that's one of the greatest gifts we get is we get to do action here. We get to take action. We get to plan action. Whereas over there, we don't need any action. That the action is part of the system that loves us so much. So, before we come to Earth life, some of us don't really care about learning because we know everything through our plugging into the quantum field or the body of the whole. But after we come here, a lot of us are passionate about learning. Even though we can access all eternal truths in the quantum field, we still want to know them for ourselves. So, to me, it's about the power of making choices. That's the greatest thing that we get to take with us when we go to the other side.
And it feels like we experience all the minutiae, the details involved in manifesting the thing we're after, as opposed to just instantaneous.
Yeah, instantaneous. Yeah.
Yeah, and the details are important. Well, hey, that brings us to number 7, our final, which is if God were whispering through you right now to someone listening who feels lost, what might be said?
What you look for, you will find. So watch what you're looking for. In life, if we're looking for answers in others, that's all we're going to find is other people's answers. But when we're looking for answers of truth and we look within, we can get access to truth from within us. But, for someone who's lost hope, know that, number one, you're okay. You're loved. Even if you can't see it or feel it, you are loved. And you're safe. And remember that every single day, even if you got to say that 100 times a day. I've said it to myself sometimes on a rough day, like maybe 20 times. I'm okay. I'm loved. I'm safe. Because it's the body trying to process all this stuff that makes us depressed. The soul doesn't get depressed, the body does. But a soul in motion is full of emotion. So if you're struggling with hope, with passion, go move your body. If you're in a bad weather area, go to a mall and move your body. Go to a gym or a rec center. Go move your body. And what you'll find is Einstein was right. Motion creates emotion.